The Renaissance Period, 1500 to 1600. Part-03. Christopher Marlowe, 1564 to 1593. The dramatic work of Lodge and Nash is not of much importance. Of all the members of the group, Marlowe is the greatest. In 1587 his first play, Tamburlaine, was produced, and it took the public by storm on account of its impetuous force, its splendid command of blank verse, and its sensitiveness to beauty. In this play Marlowe dramatized the exploits of the Scythian shepherd who rose to be the terror of the world and the scourge of God. Tamburlaine. Tamburlaine was succeeded by the tragical history of Dr. Faustus, in which Marlowe gave an old medieval legend a romantic setting. The story of the scholar who sells his soul to the devil for worldly enjoyment and unlimited power is presented in a most fascinating manner. Marlowe's Faustus is the genuine incarnation of the Renaissance spirit. O soul, be changed into little water drops, and fall into the ocean, ne'er be found. Ugly hell, gape not. Come not, Lucifer. I'll burn my books. The Jew of Malta. The Jew of Malta, the third tragedy of Marlowe, is not so fine as Dr. Faustus, though it has a glorious opening. His last play, Edward II, it is superior to them on account of its rare skill of construction and admirable characterization. The subject matter of drama. Marlowe's contributions to the Elizabethan drama were great. He raised the subject matter of drama to a higher level. Marlowe's plays were quite different in style and content from Shakespeare's. They were tragedies with superhuman heroes who stretched the limits of human life in several ways. The language of Marlowe. The language of Marlowe was more classically based than Shakespeare's, where Shakespeare's characters spoke the same language as their audience. Marlowe's characters used a more poetic style, which was influenced by his university studies of Latin and Greek dramatic poetry. The father of English dramatic poetry. He gave life and reality to the characters, and introduced passion on the stage. He made the blank verse supple and flexible to suit the drama, and thus made the work of Shakespeare in this respect easy. He gave coherence and unity to the drama which it was formerly lacking. He also gave beauty and dignity and poetic glow to the drama. In fact, he did the pioneering work on which Shakespeare built the grand edifice. Thus he has been rightly called the father of English dramatic poetry. Ben Jonson, 1573 to 1637. Ben Jonson, a contemporary of Shakespeare and a prominent dramatist of his times, was just the opposite of Shakespeare. Jonson was a classicist, a moralist, and a reformer of drama. In his comedies he tried to present the true picture of the contemporary society. He also made an attempt to have the unities of time, place, and action in his plays. He also made his plays realistic rather than romantic, and introduced humors which mean some peculiar traits in character, which obsess an individual and govern all his faculties. Writer of comedies. Jonson was mainly a writer of comedies, and of these the four which attained outstanding success are Volpone, The Silent Woman, The Alchemist, and Bartholomew Fair. Two other important comedies of his, which illustrate his theory of humor, are Every Man in His Humor and Every Man Out of His Humor. The Alchemist, which is the most perfect in structure, is also the most brilliant realistic Elizabethan comedy. Volpone is a satirical study of avarice on the heroic scale. Bartholomew Fair presents a true picture of Elizabethan low life. The Silent Woman, which is written in a lighter mood, approaches the comedy of manners. Two tragic plays. Ben Jonson wrote two tragic plays, Sejanus and Catiline, on the classical model, but they were not successful. Profound classical scholar. Ben Jonson was a profound classical scholar who wanted to reform the Elizabethan drama and introduce form and method in it. He resolved to fight against cheap romantic effects. and limit his art within the bounds of reason and common sense. Intellectual and satirical writer. He was an intellectual and satirical writer, unlike Shakespeare, who was imaginative and sympathetic. His chief contribution to dramatic theory was his practice to construct plays based on humor, or some master passion. In this way he created a new type of comedy having its own methods, scope and purpose. Though he drew his principles from the ancients, he depicted the contemporary life in his plays in a most realistic manner. In this way Johnson broke from the romantic tendency of Elizabethan drama. Thank you.